I have no motivation. And I don't mean the kind of motivation where you don't feel like going to the gym for a day. I don't mean being lazy. I don't mean wanting to sleep in on a Saturday. I mean that weird kind of emptiness where even the things you care about start feeling heavy. The kind where everything feels harder than it should. The kind where you wake up already tired. Not physically, just mentally, emotionally. Like your brain never really got a chance to rest. And I hate admitting that, because I feel like we're supposed to always be working towards something. Always improving, always chasing goals, always becoming better. That's what everybody talks about. Productivity, discipline, consistency, the grind, the hustle. Whatever word people are using this week. And don't get me wrong, I understand it. I understand the importance of hard work. I understand discipline matters more than motivation most of the time. I've heard all of it. But sometimes I think people underestimate how difficult it is to be disciplined when you feel disconnected from everything. Because lately, that's kind of how I felt. Disconnected. Not necessarily sad, not necessarily depressed, just disconnected. Like I'm moving through my days on autopilot, doing what needs to get done, checking things off, responding to messages, going through routines, going through the motions, but not really feeling present for any of it. And what's frustrating is that from the outside, nothing is technically wrong. My life isn't falling apart. There isn't some huge crisis happening. Nobody would look at me and think, wow, he's really struggling. If anything, they'd probably assume everything's fine. And maybe that's part of why it's so difficult to explain. Because when there's an obvious reason, at least you know what you're fighting. But when motivation disappears for no clear reason, it feels different. It feels like trying to solve a problem you can't even identify. I keep finding myself doing this thing where I think about everything I should be doing. Everything I want to do, all the goals I have, all the things I'm excited about in theory. And then I just don't move. I sit there, thinking about it, knowing exactly what needs to happen, and somehow still feeling stuck. And that's one of the most frustrating feelings in the world, because people assume a lack of motivation means a lack of desire. But that's not always true. Sometimes you want something desperately, you just can't seem to access the energy needed to pursue it. It's like standing at the bottom of a staircase. You know where you need to go, you know how to get there, you just can't convince yourself to take the first step. And then you feel guilty for not taking it, which somehow makes it even harder. I think guilt plays a bigger role in motivation than people realize, because after enough unproductive days, you stop just feeling unmotivated. You start feeling disappointed in yourself. You start comparing yourself to who you think you should be. And that's when things get messy, because now you're not only struggling to move forward, you're also carrying shame about the fact that you're struggling. And that's exhausting. I catch myself doing that all the time. I'll have a day where I don't get much done, then I'll spend the entire evening beating myself up about it, which means I end up wasting the day and ruining the night. It's such a terrible trade, but for some reason my brain keeps making it, and I know I'm not the only one. I think a lot of people are quietly exhausted right now, not physically, but emotionally and mentally. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix, the kind where taking a nap doesn't help because the problem isn't energy, it's weight. It's carrying too many thoughts, too many expectations, too many responsibilities, too many things you haven't fully processed, and eventually your mind just starts slowing down. I remember a version of myself that felt different, not necessarily happier, just lighter. I remember getting excited about things more easily. I remember waking up with ideas. I remember wanting to create, wanting to build things, wanting to chase things. And lately, I've found myself missing that version of me. Not because he's gone, but because he feels farther away than he used to. Sometimes I wonder where motivation actually comes from. Because when I was younger, I thought motivation came from inspiration. I thought you'd wake up feeling energized, ready, focused, certain. But the older I get, the more I realize motivation seems connected to hope. And when hope gets weaker, motivation usually follows. Because why work hard if you don't believe it'll matter? Why keep trying if you're not convinced things will improve? Why keep putting energy into something when you're not sure what you'll get back? I don't think motivation disappears randomly. I think sometimes it leaves because something underneath it is struggling. Maybe you're burnt out, or maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you're lonely, or maybe you've been disappointed too many times recently. Maybe you're carrying stress you haven't acknowledged, or maybe you're just tired of being strong all the time. I don't know. But I do know that whenever my motivation disappears, there's usually something deeper happening. Something I haven't been paying attention to. Something I've been avoiding. Because motivation is easy to notice. The deeper issue usually isn't. And maybe that's what I've been realizing lately. Maybe my problem isn't that I'm lazy. Maybe my problem is that I've been running on empty for longer than I realized. Because if I'm being honest, there have been days where I wasn't resting. I was escaping. There's a difference. Rest helps. Escape just delays things. Scrolling for hours isn't always rest. Watching videos all day isn't always rest. Distracting yourself isn't always rest. Sometimes it's just avoiding your own thoughts. And eventually those thoughts catch up anyway. I know they've caught up to me. There have been nights where I sat there wondering why I felt so unmotivated. And the answer wasn't actually about work. It wasn't about goals or productivity. It was about things I hadn't dealt with emotionally. Things I told myself didn't bother me. Things I told myself I was over. Or things I told myself I'd move past. And maybe I hadn't. Maybe a part of me was still carrying them. Maybe a part of me was spending so much energy surviving internally that there wasn't much left over for anything else. I think that's another thing people don't talk about enough. How much energy emotions consume, especially unspoken emotions, especially unresolved ones. You can carry something for months without realizing how much it's affecting you. A disappointment, a heartbreak, a failure, a fear, a loss. And on the surface, life keeps moving. But underneath, some part of you is still processing it, still carrying it, still spending energy on it. And then one day you wake up wondering why you have no motivation. Meanwhile, your mind has been running a marathon in the background for months. Of course you're tired. Of course things feel harder. Of course you're struggling to care. I think sometimes we judge ourselves too quickly. We see the symptom and attack ourselves for it. We see the lack of motivation and call ourselves lazy. We see the exhaustion and call ourselves weak. We see the struggle and call ourselves failures. But maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe instead of asking, why am I so lazy? We should be asking, what is making me so tired? Because those aren't the same thing. Not even close. And honestly, I don't have some perfect solution. I wish I did. I wish I could end this by saying I figured everything out. That motivation came back. That everything feels clear again. But the truth is, I'm still in the middle of it. I'm still trying to understand it. Still trying to find my way through it. Some days are better than others. Some days I feel like myself again. And some days I don't. But maybe that's okay. Maybe not every season of life is meant to be productive. Maybe some seasons are meant for rebuilding, for recovering, for figuring things out, for carrying less. Maybe motivation isn't something you force. Maybe it's something that returns when you finally start listening to what you've been ignoring. I'm tired of treating myself like a machine. I'm tired of acting like my value depends on how much I accomplish. And I'm tired of measuring my worth by how productive I was this week. Because at some point, that mindset starts breaking you. And maybe what I need right now isn't more pressure. Maybe it's more honesty. Maybe it's admitting that I'm tired, admitting that I'm struggling, and admitting that I don't have everything figured out. Because the truth is, I have no motivation right now. And maybe that's not because I failed. Maybe it's because some part of me is asking for attention. Some part of me is asking for rest, or asking to be understood instead of pushed. And for the first time in a while, I think I'm finally starting to listen.